The paradox of the stone. Can God create a stone so heavy that he cannot lift it? It sounds like a joke, like a word puzzle, the kind kids ask when they're trying to sound deep. But this question unravels omnipotence, because either answer breaks something sacred. If the answer is yes, God can create such a stone, then there exists something he cannot do, lift it. So, he's not all-powerful, but if the answer is no, he cannot create such a stone, then again, there's something he cannot do, still not all-powerful. Either way, the idea collapses. This is the paradox of the stone, a thought experiment meant to test the limits of divine power, but it goes deeper than God. It cuts into the very concept of power itself. Can absolute power include the power to make itself powerless? That's not just self-contradiction, it's philosophical implosion. Some argue that the question is meaningless, that it's like asking, can God draw a square circle? Nonsense by design, a linguistic trap dressed as a challenge. But others say, if you define a being as truly omnipotent, then it must have the ability to perform logically impossible acts, even if they break the system. Because if you limit power to logic, then logic itself is greater than God. And suddenly, you're not talking about God anymore. You're talking about a prisoner, bound by the chains of coherence. That's the deeper horror, that even perfection has boundaries, that even infinity has rules, that no matter how vast a mind may be, some questions still silence it. So, what kind of stone is this? It's not made of matter, not something you can touch or lift. It's made of contradiction, a question heavy enough to break the very idea of being all-powerful. And maybe that's the truth behind the paradox, that some concepts, like omnipotence, aren't divine, they're impossible. So next time someone says, nothing is beyond God, ask them gently, can he lift the weight of a question that should never have existed? Kripke's skeptical paradox. What if you've never meant what you thought you meant? Imagine you're doing math. You've added 2 plus 2 so many times, you don't even think. You just know it's 4. Now try this. What's 68 plus 57? You think for a second. And you say, 125. But philosopher Saul Kripke stops you right there. How do you know that by plus, you didn't actually mean quoos, a made-up operation that works exactly like plus until you hit numbers above 57? And then it gives a different result. Maybe all your past answers fit quas perfectly. You've just never gone far enough to notice. So, how do you know what you meant? How do you know you meant addition and not some warped version you didn't realize you were following? You might say, well, I meant what I meant, but Kripke digs deeper. Meaning can't live in your head alone, because every time you try to explain it, you give more words, more rules, more examples. But those rules can always be reinterpreted. They're never self-contained. It's like chasing your own shadow. The more you try to lock down what you meant, the more it slips. So here's the paradox. If meaning is just behavior, and behavior can match infinite interpretations, then there's no fact about what you ever meant. Not yesterday, not now, not ever. Language becomes a hall of mirrors. Words lose their grip, and all that's left is guesswork. Even when you think you're following a rule, like math or grammar or logic, there's no anchor, only habit, only momentum. So when you say I understand, Kripke asks, do you? Or are you just repeating patterns you never truly grasped? The skeptical paradox doesn't just threaten knowledge, it threatens meaning itself. It says that our confidence in language, in thought, in intention, might be an illusion, a perfectly rehearsed performance with no one behind the curtain. You might think this doesn't affect your life, but everything you've ever believed, spoken, remembered, or loved was shaped through language. And if that language never meant what you thought it did, then what exactly do you know? The Paradox of Denotation. What happens when names try to name themselves? Imagine a list, just a simple list of words, but something strange about it. This list contains every phrase that does not refer to itself. So you go through, moonlight doesn't refer to itself. It refers to actual moonlight, so it stays on the list. 4-letter word? Sure, that's just a description, also stays. But now you write one more. The phrase on this list that does not refer to itself. Here it comes. Does that phrase refer to itself? If it does, then it shouldn't be on the list, because the list only includes phrases that don't refer to themselves. But if it doesn't, then it does meet the requirement and belongs on the list. But if it's on the list, then it does refer to itself. Loop, collapse, contradiction. This is the paradox of denotation, a linguistic self-destruct button disguised as innocent reference, a close cousin to the liar paradox, but where this statement is false breaks truth, this one breaks meaning, because we think of names, labels, and language as clean tools, as things that point, describe, define. But denotation is fragile. Sometimes the thing you're trying to name is the name itself, and then logic starts to unravel. You think you're building a ladder, but every step collapses under your foot. It's not just a word game. It reveals something deeper. That meaning isn't stable, that even our most basic structures, like reference, naming, pointing, can implode when bent too far. We rely on language to think, to know, to define reality. But the paradox of denotation whispers, what if language can't even define itself? A phrase tries to refer, and ends up referring to the act of referring. A mirror reflects a mirror, and soon there's nothing solid left, just endless echoes, and your mind searching for footing in a language that can't hold itself up. The Mereological Paradox. Where does the part end and the whole begin? Look at your hand. It feels like a part of you, not separate, not foreign, but not you entirely either. Cut it off, and you remain, but lose enough parts, and what's left? This is Mereology, the study of parts and wholes, and buried inside it is a quiet, creeping paradox. You see, we like things to be clear. A chair is a chair, a car is a car, a person is a person. But when you break them down, they start to vanish. A car isn't just one thing, it's a collection of bolts, wires, metal, fuel, each of which is a collection of atoms. Remove one screw, it's still a car. Remove 5, 10, 50. At what point is it no longer the thing it was? Where is the essence of the object? The same with people. Are you your body, your brain, your memories, your cells? Those cells are dying and replacing every second. Your body is not the same body it was a year ago, and yet, you still call yourself you. But why? If we accept that wholes are just their parts, then nothing ever truly exists. Everything is just fragments pretending to be unity. But if we say a whole is more than its parts, then we've created something extra, something mystical, a self that floats above the pieces. That's the paradox. Either we're just collections, temporary gatherings of smaller things, or we believe in a whole that can't be seen, touched, or proved. And here's where it gets darker. If a whole is just parts arranged a certain way, then you and a perfect copy of you are the same thing, same shape, same parts. But if you say, no, only I am me, then you've admitted there's something beyond the arrangement, some invisible glue holding identity together, but no one can find it. Mereology asks, is anything ever truly one thing? Or is unity just a trick of perception, a label slapped onto a pile of pieces to make it easier to understand? Maybe you're not a person, not a self, just a pattern, fleeting, temporary, held together by habit and hope. And when that pattern shifts, the whole vanishes, just like that. Benardets Paradox. What if you were stopped without anyone stopping you? Imagine you're walking down a road. It's quiet, deserted, just a long, empty path stretching out ahead of you. But at the 1 mile mark, a man appears, blocking your way. He says, if you reach me, I will stop you. You pause. So, you change your route. Try walking before that point. Maybe stop at the half-mile mark. But now another man appears there too. If you reach me, I will stop you. So you try again. Quarter mile, blocked. 1/8 mile, blocked. Every time you choose a point closer to the start, someone is already waiting. They were always going to be there. An infinite line of guardians, each one stopping you if you make it far enough to reach them. But here's the paradox. You never actually meet any of them, because to reach any one of them, you'd first have to pass the others behind him. But you never get that far. You're stopped before you're stopped. So why can't you move? No single barrier ever appears. No actual person ever confronts you. And yet, you're trapped. It's a wall made of potential, not action. Each figure only would stop you if you got close enough. But since there's always one closer, you never do. This is Benardets Paradox, a problem of infinite regress. It shows how an infinite number of hypothetical obstacles can trap you, without any one of them doing anything at all. It's like being strangled by ghosts that never touched you. It's not about motion, it's about logic, and how reality can be bound by possibility alone. This paradox doesn't just live in roads. It creeps into time, space, and thought. What if your failure was guaranteed not by action, but by structure? What if the world could prevent something just by being set up to stop you, without ever needing to try? That's the horror of Benardet's Paradox. You don't need to be stopped to be unable to move.